What's going on YouTube? There is video game video or whatever footage in the background, but you don't have to watch it because this video has nothing to do with gaming or tech. This is actually a very political video, and I'll probably be much more serious than I am in a lot of my other videos. And the country that I'm talking about here is the USA, for anybody that's in a different country. But I'm going to be talking about minimum wage, and should we raise it, or should we decrease it, or should we keep it the same? And it's a pretty complex topic to talk about. I don't think anybody should be one-sided on this matter. I hate one-sided people. So I'm going to take both sides of it. I'm going to list some reasons as to why we shouldn't raise the minimum wage, and some reasons as to why we should. I have more reasons to why we should not raise it, but if you have any more reasons about how we, or if we should raise it, then please comment it down below. I'm not one-sided. I will take anyone's opinion as long as if it makes logical sense. Please keep that in mind. You can't just post some random crap that makes absolutely no sense in the comments and expect me to make a video of it or comment on it or believe it. If I believed it, I would probably lose hope in myself, and I wouldn't want anyone to listen to me. But anyway, let's get on to the topic. So the minimum wage is pretty much just a wage that corporations and stuff can pay you legally or whatever. That's probably a really bad description, but let's just go with it. And some people are arguing if we should raise it or keep it the same or decrease it or whatever. And here are some reasons why we should either keep it the same or decrease it. First off, and this is going to piss a lot of people off that think the minimum wage should be increased, but I'm sorry guys, minimum wage jobs aren't meant to sustain your life. That's just the cold hard reality. They were never designed to sustain your life. A job at McDonald's or just any minimum wage job, because too many people poke at fast food workers, but like if you work at McDonald's, don't expect to have a comfortable living. You're not going to have the most comfortable life in the world, and you should expect that for working over there. That job is for young people, very young people. Don't expect to be in your 30s living off of McDonald's or Starbucks or whatever minimum wage job you got. Now, even if you need to make a little bit of extra cash, as long as if your primary source of income isn't absolutely terrible, a minimum wage job is actually not a super bad way of getting a secondary source of income, because it's like $8 now. So if you like round that up to 10, you can make about $25K or something a year if you worked 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, which is pretty much the regular standard work day. I don't know about anymore, but that was the regular standard work day, and it probably still is. The second reason is, if you increase the minimum wage, corporations like McDonald's and Starbucks, I don't know about all corporations, but a lot of corporations will want to hire less workers. That's right, I said less workers. They would want to hire less workers because they need to pay each individual worker more money for every hour. So they'll probably, like if the minimum wage was really high, they'd probably hire the bare minimum of workers, so that way they don't need to pay as much. And plenty of factories will probably start outsourcing to like China or Mexico, because they can pay those workers a lot less than if the minimum wage is at like $20 per hour. Third reason why an increase of minimum wage might not be a good idea is because supply and demand. I get this a lot. Why do doctors get paid more than a custodian when a custodian works just as hard and is just as important as a doctor? Or maybe not a doctor, but let's just say like a manager of a store for now. The janitor cleans up the store and prevents injury from people slipping, blah 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 blah. The reason why that reason is somewhat invalid to me is because it doesn't take as much training and education to become a janitor than it does for a high-tier job such as a store manager or a doctor. Doctors are always perfect examples for this. it takes a lot of education and a lot of training to become a doctor. In fact, doctors spend at least like 10 years of their life just to become a doctor, to get all of the qualifications. Supply and demand. There's a lot less people that can be doctors than people that can be custodians. So with doctors, you have a lower supply and higher demand. Less doctors, high demand for doctors. Custodian, you have plenty of people that can do the job. High supply, less demand. Therefore, you get paid less. And for the doctor, that's the reason why they get paid more, because there's less supply and more demand. You get paid more because they can't find as many people with that profession. And the other thing is, if you increase the if you increase the minimum wage, and let's say people start getting lazy, right? And people start taking all of the minimalist jobs to get by because they can make a comfortable living with these minimum wage jobs, then you'll just get an even larger decrease in people with higher education, and then you'll get less people that can, as an example, become doctors. There'll be even less supply and even more demand. So that just means doctors will get paid even more. By increasing the minimum wage, you can indirectly increase the wage of a higher tier job. Another thing that I sometimes hear people say is, why can't everyone just make an equal pay if everyone is just as important as everyone else, or something like that. I don't see it very, very often, but I do see it around sometimes. And I'll explain to you what that is, because there's an economic system with that name. It's called communism. Everyone's treated fairly, and there's really no incentive to do better. And I'll just tell you the quick potato farmer story. So you got one potato farmer that wakes up early every morning, farms his potatoes, does a really good job at making his potatoes. And you got another farmer that's really lazy. He just slacks off. He doesn't really take care of his potatoes, right? So at the end of the year, or end of the month, or whatever you want to make the deadline, the one with great potatoes has a bunch of baskets of potatoes, and he gives it to the stores or whatever, or the people that just come by and check, and they say, "Oh, good job, comrade. You did very well this year or this month or whatever at making potatoes." All right? So then they take your potatoes and they leave. So they go to the bad farmer that just slacks off. "Oh, you have, 3 very ugly potatoes? You did a bad job today, sir. Shame on you." And they leave. That's what communism is. Not only that, but if everyone gets paid the same amount, people will so scream that is so unfair once it takes effect. Right now, everyone's all, "Yay, equality." But no, if it actually happened, people would be pissed off. Not the poor people, but definitely the richer people. It's all about point of view. And that's why a lot of rich people really don't give a shit about minimum wage, and a lot of poor people want it to be increased. But the reason why I say that is because, okay, there was probably a weird skip in the audio, and it's because I had a brain fart moment. I forgot what I was talking about, so I reheard the recording, and now I know what I'm talking about. But the reason why people will hate equal pay when it actually takes effect is because people with higher tier jobs will be like, "He doesn't need to do anything to become a janitor. Did he need to spend 10 years of his life getting an education, getting lots of training? No. So why should he get paid the same amount as me?" There is certain, difficulties with jobs. There's not much difficulty putting a hamburger together and giving it to somebody and saying, "Thank you, sir." And plus, a lot of people fail the "thank you, sir" part. But you get my point. Equal pay is obviously not the answer, because 1, that's communism, and I thought Americans hated communism, and 2, it's unfair. And you might not think it's unfair now. Poor people sure as hell don't think it's unfair because they're poor, and everyone will just complain about it if it actually takes effect, because the higher tier people will always point towards the lower tier jobs that don't require as much quote unquote effort or education or whatever, and they'll bash on them and ask, why should he get the same amount of money as me when I worked much harder for this position? Now I'm probably gonna say the reason right here about why an increase in the minimum wage is a good idea, and I'll probably end the video off here because I don't think I can really think of any more reasons why it should stay the same or be decreased. I'm pretty sure I have more, but they're just not in my head at the moment. So why should it be increased? Well, if the minimum wage is higher, that means that lower paid people, I guess you can say, will have more money and they'll be able to pay more taxes and they'll be able to spend their money on more stuff, and that's good for the overall economy. The only problem about this, and yes, there is a problem, is if the decrease of jobs is higher than the gain of money, then you have a problem, because there might just be either an equal amount of money that was being made before with less workers, or you'll get less money being made because there's so many people with no jobs because corporations like McDonald's or whatever is hiring less people. So that would actually just worsen the economy. That's the only downside to this idea. Do I think it's that huge of a downside? Not really. I don't think it's very likely if the increase of the minimum wage is only like $2 more or something. But if the minimum wage goes up to 20, oh yeah, this is going to be a reality. Yeah, there's going to be a lot less jobs because people will have to be paid a lot more for a low-tier job. Well, I hope you understand my points. Remember, I'm not bashing anybody with the opinion of an increase in minimum wage. I'm sure there are legitimate reasons out there that I just cannot think of at the moment that actually make logical sense and could actually help us. And if you have that, you should say it below, because I'm not saying I'm right here or anything. Okay, I can deal with other people's opinions, so go ahead and comment that down below. Just don't be rude, for the love of God. Yeah, just don't be rude, okay? You get your message across much better if you're polite, alright? So, thank you guys. I'll see you in the next video. I don't know if I'll do too many political videos. Depends on the responses of this video and whatnot. But I'll see you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching. Have a good one.